Hi guys, welcome to the newest art journal watch along video. You can see from the speed that, or from the rate that my hands move in, this is a sped up video, 50% actually, because it took me a little more than 2.5 hours to complete this design, and that would have been far too long for a video. So I either speed them up or I try to make quicker designs, one or the other. So I start off with spray adhesive and decoupage paper just to create some sort of a background because I'm undecided about the background. I know what I want to put down on the page. The challenge is that you should put something down that you dream of, or something like a motivational sheet, and all these items that I'm gonna put down are some things that I dream of, and they are not about my life but about humanity. And I think the solution is that even I try to make an effort to make those things come true on one day or whenever in the future, even if I'm not alive anymore. But I want humanity to go in a certain direction that we are currently not headed on very many things, I think. So there will be a lot of different topics that I'm gonna put down. Also, I'm trying something new here with the audio. It's a voiceover, but I'm watching the whole video while I do the voiceover, and it's still pretty much unscripted, so there might be a few more ums and and you hear me drink and everything. But it's way easier than doing that while I do paint, but it's not as scripted as it was during the last couple of weeks, which I tried out with the totally scripted, pre-written reading of the paper voiceover. So it's gonna be something new again. Anyways, I'm now cutting the rainbow colored heart. This piece of paper actually was a calendar page, and I don't know from what year, but I had it, and once that year was over I just cut out all of the pictures because I thought they were pretty and I would use them in art one day. So the rainbow heart represents the solution to the LGBT problems that we have in certain countries on this planet right now, and I guess you can figure out my opinion of that. Also, this brown paper should be or would be a wall that I think represents cultures in our society. And after cutting down all of those pieces, I'm using artist gel light molding and some buff titanium, and I'm gonna create a face of a girl and also work on the background a bit more. This gel is actually, excuse the expression, a pain in the butt. It's really cool when it's done. It gives it a very light and fluffy finish, but working with it was really not that great because it takes forever to dry. So I'm just starting up with only the buff titanium, working a bit on the background and working out a face, and it's gonna be a girl in the end, and you will see me putting it together in a few minutes. So now I'm mixing both of the colors because it was a bit, well, boring, the face. I wanted to have a bit more structure, and that's why I mixed both of the mediums and gave her the artist gel in the face in the end. So that's what I'm doing down here, and I know it looks clumsy right now, but trust me, it will work in the end. So on the right side of the page I use a palette knife to, well, have a bit of a different structure, more of a smooth one, because I'm still kind of undecided about what I want as a background. So I'm just trying certain things and hope that it sparks, because I know so well what I want to have in the foreground, but for whatever reason, I don't know what I want in the background. I'm spreading the palette knife molding gel color stuff also a bit on the right side of the page, just to connect both of them and to get the rest of my palette pretty much. Now I'm using my blow dryer to set both pages, and this is 20 times speed, so you know how long I was standing there with the blow dryer to get the layers a bit dry at least. The acrylics I'm using now are Sienna and Flesh, and I'm mixing both of those and the rest of the titanium acrylic mold mixture, as you can see, that I have on my palette to work more on the face. I'm just putting down color here and there, give it kind of like a blotchy look to it, and I don't mind pretty much, because it's just a symbol. She will be a symbol for something else. She's not supposed to be a pretty girl. So while I work on that, you can see that I sometimes hold my brush quite awkwardly. That's because the artist gel light molding isn't dry yet. So whenever I put too much pressure on the page, I lift off the old color, which is totally shitty, but whatever. It works out in the end, I guess. So I'm going for the very rough line, for the very rough outline of the eyebrows and the nose now. And I know it looks totally weird, I know, but trust me, I'm able to solve it. Again, the blow dryer. And then we go in with the red ochre. I really like this color. It's warm, it's yeah, it's happy, but it's not too prominent on the page. So I'm going for hair. She's going to be a red-haired girl, like a red brown hair actually. And I'm just giving her like the typical girl hair. If there is something like the typical haircut for a girl, she has it, right? So that's what I do there. Just a bit of what's it called? Bangs. Bit of bangs, and then having wild hair standing out on the side. Doing some of the jaw outlining, making her a little bit thinner, giving her more hair. Although, sorry for the wings, I hope they're not in, but that was my email. And now I'm just doing a bit of shade and definition at the nose and the eyebrows. I'm also drawing in a mouth. I'm not working out any details of the mouth because I know already that I will cover it up. I will use duct tape to make it shut. So I'm going for indigo now, adding that to my palette, and when you mix it with the red ochre, you get a very dark purple tone that is almost like a gray. So I do that, mix it together, and work on even more details of the face. Like, for example, I paint her eyes. They are shut. She is supposed to express all the sorrow and pain that a person would have on its face if it would have to deal with oppression, or if it would just have a miserable life due to whatever. For the longest time, you could be the most pretty person on this planet. If you have to deal with things like that, your face will show. You will have certain crinkles that society does not redeem beautiful. So I want her to have that kind of a face, because she is she represents every person that has to deal with stuff that the minority of people on the planet actually, well, caused, but the majority of the people on the planet have to deal with it in their lives if they want to or not. So she's that girl. So I'm just working out a bit of shadows and definition here and there. I'm not too detailed with that, because there will be the wall and other stuff on top of the lower part of the face and the neck, so I don't have to be too detailed with that. I don't like the big yellow blotch on her face apparently, so I'm just lightening it up with a bit more buff titanium and only a slight bit of sienna. That looks way better. Going in with the indigo again, some more definition on the neck, almost like a comic outline. So now I have so much indigo left on the page that I just go over it with a very rough brush. I've had that brush forever, so these are good for grass and stuff. So whoops, I'm taking away the book, and I guess it was time to work on the wall or the fence just with any remaining colors that I have on my palette, and it actually gives it an interesting shade. I really liked it in the end. It looked like iron and rust and yeah, just old and used, so to say. So that worked out fine. And actually those highs and lows of the paper, they helped a lot with shading and creating interest. So that's what I did here. Again, drying it off. That was quick. And now I move on to, I guess, watercolors and markers. Because I see myself cleaning up the table and I remember what I did that time. So I'm always flipping over my surface because I used spray adhesive, so I don't want it to be on the watercolor paper. And while I do get my supplies, I'm using 165 gram watercolor paper with the designs today. And I'm using color that is 23 years old, believe it or not. So my watercolors are back from the day when I was in school. Wow. So I'm just cutting my paper to the right size, and I'm gonna tape it down to this acrylic glass sheet that I had laying around. It's the biggest surface, non-porous surface that I have where I can tape down my paper and really water it down and it being not wavy in the end. So maybe I just get myself a bigger surface one day so that I don't have to cut my sheets of watercolor paper. But anyways, I just taped everything down. Now I'm going to water it down. So I'm planning to make soap bubbles of that sheet, and I'm using now the 23-year-old colors to create the background. So I'm going for very light, very soft colors. I'm going for the more laid back colors, so to say. So I'm just watering them down again so that they are not too prominent, and I'm going for yellow, orange, and a tiny bit of green. I didn't do that technique for quite a while. Now looking back at me working, I really have to go for some watercolor paintings again. Didn't do them in like forever. Gosh. Anyways, I'm drying everything off now, and you can see the colored water running, and I don't mind. I just direct it wherever I want it to go. So the layer is dried, and now I'm going in for the more prominent colors, like the magenta, pink, and some turquoise blue. And I'm doing freckles and swirls that help along the soap bubble design in the end. Some of them I'm going to diffuse with water later on, and some of them are just going to stay the same, and that actually makes the bubbles look funny and magical, and I really like it. So now you can see I'm diffusing some of those with a bit of water. I'm going in for a bit more yellow on top. That also takes a bit of other colors with it, and I'm also putting freckles there, by the way, if you can't see. I'm using only clear water for the swirls, because there is enough pigment on the page that I could lift up and make soap bubble swirls with. I don't have to have an outline or even more color on it. So again, I'm going to dry that off, and then I'm using those stencils for putting down circles. And I never bought any stencils like from a set, but these are just board game punch out sheets where pieces, like components of a board game, were stamped in. So those are actually perfect, and I have so many different sizes because I own a lot of board games. So for the biggest circle, because I don't have a stencil in that size, I'm just going to use my circle cutter. But before I use that, I'm taking off my paper sheet of the acrylics glass background, getting rid of all the taped down paper, and now this is the circle cutter I was talking about. And I'm just the biggest circles that I'm gonna cut out is actually the smallest circle on that circle cutter. And it worked out actually pretty well, and I could save myself the step of drawing down and then cutting around the circle. So, but this is the smallest size I could go with it. I couldn't go for the very small circles, so I had to go for the stencils and cut out those circles on the page with my scissors, which I'm going to do in a couple of seconds. And the circle that I cut out with the cutter, I actually like the design of it very much, because it's not cut around the swirls, but they crisscross. So that's pretty cool. I like it. And as always, I'm not cutting out things out of paper right away and leave the rest around the design hanging there. I'm just splitting, or I'm cutting the paper into pieces where I have one thing I have to cut out, like one circle per piece. I don't know why I do that. It's totally silly, but that's how I work. Just to tell you even more about myself, that is so boring and not interesting. So yay! I already have a couple of circles in there appearing magically, because I cut the first 4 circles out of frame, so I did just cut the video material for that. I'm sorry, I really have to learn how to work with the stuff I do always being in frame with the camera. I'm still learning. I can't believe that I do the videos for more than a year now. But the overhead camera is in place only for a couple of months now, so I guess I'm okay with screwing up once in a while still. This is actually, I can see a difference. I'm working during the day here, so the lighting of the video is way better. But I don't have a lot of light in my studio, like natural light. But I have tons of little light spots that I actually all put on when I work, but still it's a bit lighter at the edges of the video than when I work at night. But I love to work at night. I'm a night owl. I usually sleep during the day and I work at night. So I guess I have to have some more light spots to make up for the natural light that is missing in my videos. So I'm not cutting all of these circles because I think I just have enough to put on the page. The rest I'm just keeping for future projects. And again, I'm cleaning my desk to have some space. And then I'm going on to work on the duct tape that shuts the mouth of the girl. And I'm also drawing 2 Ethernet cables because I want to put another kind of disconnection between cultures into the page, and that is the cable cords do represent net neutrality and the problem of it maybe going away. And it also represents the problem that we have on the globe, that some countries try to block certain web pages. And I'm not pointing fingers to specific countries here because, well, there's much more to it than to put into a video, and this is an art video and not a political video. But I think it's important, and it's one of the things I want to, or I would love to see solved in my lifetime, or to make sure that we never have the problem again that information is blocked, or that people are dumbed down even more by whom or whatever. So I'm just using Copic markers and colored pencils to paint the cables and also the duct tape. And I'm actually using the pieces that I cut off of the watercolor paper that I just drew the soap bubble circles on. So it's the same paper. It sucks in the color fluid quite a bit, but I don't mind since I'm going over it with colored pencils anyway. So I just like to use those scraps and not start with a new paper. So for the duct tape, I'm going with 2 shades of purple, and I'm just painting in the, or drawing in the shades of the upper duct tape, very roughly, not bothering. Also drawing in the stuff with colored pencils for these 2 parts. But I'm using colored pencils on my cables. I actually like the combination of Copic markers or alcohol markers and colored pencils a lot. It really gives whatever drawing a certain kind of depth that is difficult to achieve with only colored pencils or only Copic markers. I like the combination of both. You could actually do that with colored pencils, but it takes like forever. And yeah, it's way easier to do that with a blending, what's it called? When you want to blend out like colored pencils, there's a certain liquid that you use. So it takes a bit longer and it's more toxic and whatever to do that instead of using Copic markers or other alcohol markers and colored pencils on top. So that's why I go for this method. So now that I have my cables painted and shaded in the correct way, I'm gonna cut them out with my scissors and at the end also with my X-Acto knife, or one of them. I do have like a toolbox of different X-Acto knives. They are pretty handy, I really like them. But I would never use them for like cutting, for example, the complete cables. I'm way quicker with the scissors. Although they hurt my thumb more, I do have trouble to find good scissors for left-handed people. And until I find the perfect one, I use my normal scissors with the right hand, but I can only cut so much before the knuckle, like the lowest knuckle on my thumb, really starts to hurt, where the scissors sit on my hand. It gets red, it gets irritated, and it hurts so bad, like after 10 minutes or something. So I really have to coordinate and organize me cutting things for longer than 10 minutes with the right hand, and using the X-Acto knife for these tiny bits here is actually a relief for my thumb. You can see a bit of the red already coming up on the skin of my thumb. I'm just too, well, I'm not relaxed with my hand when I do something with the right hand, so it starts hurting quite fast. But there are certain things that I don't have the tools to do with the left hand yet. But anyways, I'm just moving on to the next sheet of paper, and it's actually it's not a watercolor paper, it's a normal cardstock, but it's also 160 grams of paper, because I don't want it to be wavy again, and since I'm already also using my Copic markers on this piece and also other markers, I want it to be still in shape once I'm done and not be all crinkly and wavy and for whatever. So now I'm just drawing very, very roughly some ground air missiles that do represent any kind of wars that we have going on in the world right now. So there's the conflict in Ukraine, there's the conflict in Israel and Palestina, the Gaza conflict. We also currently do have conflicts going on again in Iraq, in Libya, Syria, and Afghanistan still. So all those conflicts that I would love to see really solved and not just postponed in my lifetime. All these wars are represented by those missiles and also the bombs that I'm going to draw in a couple of minutes. And I'm staying comic-y or cartoony on purpose, because I don't want to make it look, well, hopeless. I think that very many people think they couldn't do anything about whatever conflict that we have in the world, and for the most part they are right, because countries are just too far away, and you don't have anything that you could really contribute to make something go away. But there's always the thing that you could force your own government into maybe supporting or not supporting certain things, that you always could vote or do something locally that would in the end influence a conflict on the other side of the planet. So to always have this hope and not give up, that's what the cartoony look of the so horrible weapons looks like, means. Whatever. I just lost my train of thought. Gosh, unbelievable. Ah, boy. So after I drew all of the missiles with my permanent markers, I erased all of the graphite pencil markers, because I don't need them and they would actually make the drawing look unclean. So I'm going for the bombs now. And again, I'm going for a very cartoony look of them too. Although I think the topics or the theme of my page is so dark and so heavy, so I try to lighten it up with the way I put those topics down. It's not hopeless, or you don't have to turn away in order to, well, survive. It's not that. It's just certain things that really bug me and that I would love to see solved in my lifetime. That's what this page is. So after that was done, I'm going now for the happy part. And I'm drawing a girl with a balloon. And that girl is an innocent person. She represents the normal person on a planet, being it young or old, I don't care. And she can say stop, just with her hand that I'm going to draw in a couple of seconds. She says stop. And I think that's actually what everybody can do. They can all say stop. But in order to do that, you have to be educated. And I think this is what I venture out to help the next generations do, is being educated on certain things that are not in the curriculum in schools. They're not discussed in the main media, or just very shortly, and they actually enable us to make educated decisions as a normal human being and do something or just leave something be. So that's what the motivating part of my dreams is. And this little girl represents the people that could actually stop all the bullshit if they would just stand up and be educated and not believe all the bullshit that they are served with and eat it with knife and fork. So once that girl is also outlined and done, I'm just cutting all of my drawings before I color them in. Because I'm leaving kind of like a white frame here and there, and when you color something in, you might just color over the black marker lines and then it looks weird. So in order to prevent that, I'm cutting before I color. Because for whatever reason, I'm more careful the smaller my piece is with my pens or where I go with colors. And having a cut out piece actually helps me to stay within the lines when I do the coloring. I guess what I just said before about what I think of the world or what I want or whatever, it really sounds depressing, I guess. But that's just how I see the world. That's what I think is important, and I'm not putting anything in my art journal that is not me. So, having decided that I do those watch-along videos, you get all the crap. you see all the not maybe so beautiful things about me that are also producing art. So, yeah. Sometimes it's a bit sinister. But anyways, I'm still cutting, yippee-yay, but I can tell you already that I'm going to color all of those pieces in with Copic markers and colored pencils too. So I'm gonna use a mixture of cold and warm grays for the weapons with a bit of red. And I'm going to use very vibrant orange and green and yellow for the girl. So heavy colors there and sort of doomy gloomy colors for the weapons, of course. Yeah, so you can see which colors I chose there already. I really like the Copics. I did have problems at the beginning. If you saw the revisitation piece, the one that I revisited was actually my first ever drawing with Copic markers. I got them the same week. I didn't have any like markers, alcohol markers at my house, so I didn't paint with them for forever. All the comics and the mangas and stuff that I did was only digital, so I didn't have any alcohol markers there. But I decided to buy them, or at least some of them, and I did need some time to get used to them and try out certain things that would let me learn, like knowing what paper to use or which way to use which tip of the marker, because I did have streaky lines at my first try and I did not want to have that stuff again. How to use shades or how to shade with the markers and how to go about it. That's what I had to learn, and it took me a couple of weeks, but it did work out in the end, and I actually like them a lot now. I paint with them frequently. Not the mangas. I'm still only using digital for that. I don't know why. But some comic strips or doodles, or even on my cards, like when I make greeting cards or birthday cards or whatever, I go in with the markers just to define some stuff or give it like a tiny twist or something. I really like the markers for these kind of things. I'm drinking coffee, by the way, big bowl of coffee. And I guess in that recording you can also hear these squeaking noises of my chair. But like I said, I'm sitting here, I'm just missing the popcorn pretty much, but I'm sitting here, I'm watching the video just as you would, and I'm just talking over it. I do have another software open that records all of what I say without echo and stuff, and I'm just sitting here and watching the video, talking over it. So you hear me move, you hear me giggle and screw up and drink, and if the phone rings, you hear the phone ring, and I hope it doesn't, because it, I don't know, the last couple of times whenever I recorded something, somebody FaceTimed me or called me or whatever, and it was just like, no, now I gotta start all over again. So yeah, I hope that this doesn't happen today. So I'm just going in with one of the darkest grays that I have for the warheads. And they are all the background ones, and the foreground ones I'm going in with the lighter gray, just to increase depth. And one of them is red, because red is the color of danger and aggression, and I think it fits perfectly to have that one red missile that could destroy, I don't know, a country, people, peace in a certain area of the world. It could destroy so many things. So that's why, and it only needs one missile. So I decided to use this very light pink for the skin, but it was just too light, so I went over with the stronger flesh tone for the face, and now I'm going in and color the shoes and the balloon in my favorite color ever, and that's orange. Orange is my favorite color. So I want this happy balloon to be orange. The complementary color, like on the other part of the color wheel, would actually be blue, but I'm not too fond of a strong blue to go with orange. And I don't have a light Copic marker blue. Like I said, I only bought a couple of colors, so I go in with the green. And it actually fits pretty well, because that girl will sit on one part of the Ethernet cable, and that's green too. So you get like your eyes are guided through the page in the end. So I'm just going in with olive green, gray and black, and a bit of brown for the shades on all of the weapons. Oh, I'm sorry. Wee boy. Hoppala. It isn't that late, Sarah. Why are you tired? So yeah, I'm really not that strong with shading, but I just hint at a shadow on the left side of the bombs. Of course, the red part of the weapons also have to be shaded. They look like a fish. Just realized. Well, you shouldn't have a bite of that kind of fish. It's not yummy, and it would probably ruin your teeth. So now I'm just with the ground air missiles, I'm just using grays and blacks for the shades, and I'm not drawing in too many of those, just a bit here and there, because the different colors of the copper markers, especially at the warheads, they actually make kind of a shadow or create depth already, so I don't have to work too hard to shade all of them. I was actually thinking about putting a light blue around the missiles, like for the sky, but I don't know why, but I decided against it, and I think in the end I'm pretty happy with that. Guess it would just have been too cartoony. There would have been a blue sky. So now I'm just going in for the shadows, the girl, and starting off with the dress, and it's again same technique, creating depth, deciding where the shadow comes from, where the crinkles are, all of that. So, and I'm being very light with my pressure on the page too, so it's only going to be a very subtle shadow. Also at the hair and the balloon and everything. And I'm actually going in with a bit of orange, a lighter orange at the hair too. So you can see now this orange is way stronger than the one that I just used on the hair, and that would have been just too much at the hair. So I'm just going in for a bit of shadow and depth at the balloon, and then I'm actually checking out how the blue would look, and I don't like it too much, so I'm not painting or drawing any background blue color, but I'm using a bit on the dress, which helps a bit more even with the depth and the shading and everything. So now I'm done with all of my drawings, and I'm just gonna clean up my desk, putting all of the stuff away. It's quite a mess. And before I come back in with the book, I just need to have a clean surface, so that's why. That's exactly why. Okay, here we go. Do we go? Ha! So, you might ask yourself why I always do have like this paper box, but again, my journal is so bulky already that I can't have a good flat surface unless I have that box underneath the right side. So everything is dry now on my page so far, and I'm just planning out now, putting stuff down, trying out how it looks, where I put what, all of the pieces that I just prepared. I'm just trying to see how they fit together, where I want to put what. And I just realized I have the cable upside down. Great. And I think I've glued it down right way up in the end. So going for the girl, where will the heart be? On the upper part, the lower part, in the middle, complete. Do I have to cut it or not? So these are all the things that go through my head while you see me moving things around. Yeah, I realized that I don't like the background. Still don't like it. Didn't like it in the beginning, not in the middle, and I'm trying, it's just wild, it's too prominent. And I'm just trying to figure out how I could change that. And, well, not ruin the whole piece, and that cardstock paper would have actually ruined it. But I decided to go for structure gel, and it's almost like sand in acrylic paint. It's very rough to when you touch it. It's very, very rough. It's almost like concrete. So I'm gonna put that down a bit on the page. And that will be painted afterwards, and it actually smooths out the background quite a bit. It makes me really happy. And it also gives it a different feel, an earthy feel, which could actually, together with the color that I'm going to paint it in, be the representation of nature and the problems that we do have with natural resources and them well, coming to an end, and also the problems with pollution that we inflicted on Earth. It's definitely us. It's our fault. And all of the toxins that we produced, especially during the industrial age. So I think that it's quite well represented with the structure gel and I can already tell you, the greenish color that I'm gonna put in to color that part. And I don't know why I am, there I am. I think I got some glue. Now I'm trying to figure out, this gel is still wet, and I'm hoping that it will just be kind of like a glue to the heart, but that will fail, and I'm just drying off all of the structure gel, which is actually pretty quick. Dries pretty quick, and I'm using normal glue, white glue, to glue down the LGBT heart. I really have to press down quite a bit. You can see the book flopping up on the right side. But anyways, the glue doesn't soak into the paper of the calendar, and also it doesn't soak into the structure gel, so it takes a bit longer for both of the components to stay where they are or where they're supposed to be, and just to have the heart glued down pretty much. So while I'm waiting for the left side to set, I'm working on the right side, gluing down the wall, so to say, the quote-unquote wall. I actually like that piece a lot. I really like the colors, how they turned out. On the paper, that is the wall. I'm yawning now, great, awesome. So what I'm going to do now is working on the background again. The structure gel is dry enough, and I'm going in with blue, with the rest of the blues that I have on my palette. And eventually I'm gonna mix it with sienna, which right about now, which gives it like an olivey green look, and I really like that for the background color, and also for the color that to represent nature. And it's a quiet color. It definitely calms down the page. It is not as prominent as the former background was. And I really like it. I think it with the earthy look, the same color you can see on the right hand side there in the wall. So you have a connection there. The greens are also, or the earthy looks are also in the weapons. They are also in the face. All the colors, they are somewhere else in that piece, in that page. So I think it was a good choice to make the background in that olivey green. And I'm just now going for a different kind of glue. It's actually paper glue, and it works a bit better with the alcohol in the markers. It doesn't bleed afterwards. So I'm just putting both of the strips of duct tape together, glue them together, and then on the page. So the duct tape actually is the oppression and the thing that you are sometimes not heard with your opinions, or that you can't say anything, that you are just suppressed in regards to certain topics. And I guess it pretty much applies to every country in the world. Every culture or country has something that you as a citizen cannot really talk about. So that's the duct tapes. And now I'm also, with the same paper glue, I'm gluing down the Ethernet cables, and thank God this time I do it right. So the shadows are on the lower part and not on the upper part, just as I had them put down when I tried out where I want to put what. So they kind of look like snakes from afar, but they're not. And like I said, the girl pretty much fits perfectly on top of the cable, because the cable and the dress of the girl do have the same color. So your eye is guided through the painting or the page in a certain way. So I'm just dabbing on some glue and putting the girl down. And sorry. And the happy color of the balloon actually fits perfectly with the happy colors of the rainbow of the LGBT heart. So there's a bridge, like a connection there too. So I'm not now going for some of the bubbles to put them down, and I'm not choosing their places randomly, but I'm not planning out too much where which bubble goes. I know where the big ones go and where the smaller ones go, and I'm taking a look at the different color schemes beforehand, before I put them down. But like I don't decide if I put them down with the freckles up or with the freckles on the lower part, things like that. So I'm not worrying about that. And now the page starts looking crowded, and it will be even more. I'm going to put down quite a bit more. Guess I'm almost done with the... now I'm done with the bubbles. And that one there is not staying in place, so I use my what are they called? Squeezy things to hold them down. So with the ground air missiles, I'm actually using 3D foam squares on the upper part and normal paper glue on the lower part, because the wall is adding quite a bit of dimension, and it would crinkle and ruin the paper of the missiles if I would only glue them down with one of the two items. So when I work on the next page, or if I want to close the book at one day, there will be too much weight on the pages, it could ruin the straight surface of the missiles. So to prevent that, I'm going for two different heights to even out the space that the wall actually does add to the page. And the bombs I'm just gluing down with normal paper glue because they're all on the same level, so I don't care about putting down any foam squares. And those valleys on the walls, like the lower parts, they're just too small, too thin. So the cardstock that I used to paint the bombs on is actually strong enough to not crinkle there and not to cave into those valleys of the quote-unquote wall. So now that I did glue down all of my bits and pieces, I think something is still missing, so I'm going to add a chain. And that chain is actually, I'm trying to figure out where to put it. That is actually an old necklace of mine that was of the lower quality and therefore started to heavily oxidate after a couple of years of wearing it. So I'm not gonna wear it anymore, otherwise I'm going to ruin my clothes, and I don't want that. But I don't want to throw it away, so why not repurpose it and add it to this design. So I'm also having a bit of yellow leather string that I did use on another project, and I had some more laying around, so I'm using that to tie the chain to the page on the lower left side, and on the upper right where the duct tape is, I'm just actually gonna glue it to the duct tape. So I'm just gonna cut all of the pieces of the leather string, and now I'm trying to figure out where the other end will be, and finally I'm going to decide that I'm going to put it at the girl, and I'm gonna let the chain end under the duct tape. So I really like the mustard yellow string, and there's also so much on the page that I might forget something that I put on the page when it's time to make my end of the month vlog. So to prevent that, I take some beige cardstock and I'm just creating a tag, writing down get rid of, and then it goes war, destruction, greed. Can't read that. Yum, 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 yum. Gosh, I can't read it. I have to look it up. Well, on the world, that's the lower part. So there's pollution there, I guess. There's homophobia, and the other one should be... Oh God, put it closer. Destruction? No, I already had destruction. Anyways, so another thing. So I'm adding money for the greed. I'm still having quite a couple of Ethiopian beer in my stock, and I'm using 3 different pieces of money, Ethiopian money, to fold and put down onto the page to represent greed. It's been already 4 years since I was in Ethiopia. Man, time rushes. Really, really rushes. So I'm now just putting on the leather string onto the tag, and then I'm going to age it with my ink stamps, just a bit here and there, and I'm going to use one of the sponge dabbers that I have, because they are just smaller and they make another pattern on the paper than the ink pads itself. They make, like, you can really see the lines and the streaks. So with the dabber, it's more like dots or blotches that you get. It's more, it almost looks like, I don't know, a stealth suit of some kind of army. So to get rid of that, I'm just going over it with the more reddish ink pad. And I guess that's that then. You can still read the words that I wrote down, but they're not as prominent anymore, but they're still a hint. I'm trying to figure out where to put the tag, and I'm going for the right side, left side. The other right. The women's right, also called left. Oh gosh. So I'm just trimming down any excess of the heart, because I want to have clean pages in the book in the end, or as clean as they can be. So I'm just gonna put the tag on the right side. I'm just gonna glue a bit of the string behind the heart. I'm gonna put it behind the heart, just to cover up the string and to not have a rough look to the page. Even more than it already is. I know it's rough already, but I don't want it to look any rougher than it already does. So I'm just gonna glue it down. And actually the string adds, with that curve that it does, it actually adds a sweet kind of dimension to the page too. So this looks so crowded, but it's not enough. I decided to give the girl a voice, the tiny girl with the balloon. I wanted to give her a voice, and not only a hand that she stretches out and says stop with the hand, with the left hand, but I also want her to have a voice and to say it. So I'm going to do a speech bubble for her out of the same cream cardstock that I already used, and just normal markers, and I'm just writing down stop in capital letters, so she has a voice. She's able to put an end to all the disgusting, miserable stuff in the world, and I want her to be able to say it out loud. So that's why I put down that cardstock. I'm just going to use normal paper glue again to glue it down. And she says stop. Because I have so many ink blotches on my fingers, I need to take a paper towel for me to press down anything at this point, because otherwise you would have my fingerprints all over the design, and I don't want that. So as usual, I'm finishing off my page with black and white markers. I'm starting with the white ones this time, doing some faux stitches and the duct tape, and giving it a bit more interest there. I'm also very roughly and not very much using black markers at the hair of the girl, like really rough. And I'm also using a bit of black and white marker at the soap bubbles, just to give them a see-through shiny look, and to also indicate that they're spheres, that they do have a surface that could reflect something, and that they are not dull. That's why I put down those black lines and also white dots and lines here and there. So now I'm just going for a very big faux stitch at the heart to just give it another cartoony look or feel to it, to include it into the other parts of the piece, of the page, because pretty much everything that I put down has some detail with a marker on it, so why not the heart? Just adding white on top of the black faux stitch lines, just to make it funny looking. Now I'm actually just putting down the date, August 2014, and I'm pretty much done. So thank you all for watching. Oh no, I forgot something. I did put a bit more of orange glitter on the balloon and the shoes of the girl, because she's fancy. So, but now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this watch along video, me rambling and talking stupid stuff while I voice over this video. And if you have any questions, please just let me know. I would be very happy to answer any of those if I can. Otherwise, go create and have fun. Bye bye.